Hello, welcome to another midweek, or actually daily devotion with Pastor Andrew. That's me. Day 3 of Lent, the Friday of Ash Wednesday week, and we are in the midst of the different elements for Lent. And here, give me a second, and there. We're in the midst of dust and ashes. And today our reading comes from 1 Samuel 2, 1 through 10. This is also Hannah's prayer. If you don't know who Hannah is, I'll use a classic parent saying here, look her up. But I have it right here on my computer. Hannah prayed and then said this: "My heart exalts in the Lord, my strength is exalted in my God. My mouth derides my enemies because I rejoice in my victory. There is no Holy One like the Lord, no one besides you. There is no rock like God. Talk no more so very proudly. Let not arrogance come from your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty are broken, or the bows, but the feeble gird on strength. Those who are full have hired themselves out for bread, but those who are hungry are fat with spoil. The barren has borne 7, but she who has many children is forlorn. The Lord kills and brings to life. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He brings low, he also exalts. He raises up the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the ash heap, to make them sit with princes and inherit a seat of honor. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and on them he has set the world. He will guard the feet of his faithful ones, but the wicked shall be cut off in the darkness. For not by might does one prevail. The Lord, his adversary, shall be shattered. The Most High will thunder in heaven. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king and exalt the power of his anointed." So, interesting prayer, right? We kind of get all of them in there. It kind of starts out very reminiscent, but actually I guess it would be reminiscent of this prayer. Mary's prayer, Mary's Magnificat, right? My heart exalts the Lord, right? But then we get into the Lord is mighty, right? And he will bring up from the ashes. So there's a lot in there. I encourage you to reread that if you get a chance. 1 Samuel 2, 1 through 10. Okay, so our focus verse here is 2. There is no Holy One like the Lord, no one besides you. There is no rock like our God. Raised up from the dust. Hannah sings of the great reversal that comes as a gift from God. Promised and yet unexpected. Hannah prayed fervently, pouring out her heart so much so that Eli the priest thought her drunk. Interesting. Confronted by her inappropriate behavior in worship, Hannah holds nothing back from the priest, telling him she had been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation all this time. That comes just directly before this in chapter 1. Eli, moved by her pain, tells her to go in peace, adding his hope that the Lord will grant her prayer for a child. God does indeed grant her petition. Samuel is born, and then Hannah prays this song to the Lord. Hannah prayed in her grief, and she prays in her joy. Her prayer of anxiety and vexation focused on her own suffering, but this prayer of praise includes all who suffer, the feeble, the poor, the needy, all of them. God will raise up from the dust and make sit with princes in seats of honor. No one will be left in the ash heap. Hannah's mourning turned to dancing, encouraging anyone still desperate or destitute to keep hope that God will not forget you or leave you brokenhearted. Yes, so a little bit of history there, right? Hannah is Samuel's mom. And if I remember correctly, Hannah prays for Samuel to be born. And then once he is, and I think maybe he's just a few years old, that's probably wrong, but then he's given over to the priesthood, right? So she prays for him. She prays for him, and she has him, and she rejoices, and right, she loves the Lord, and in a sense, she loves the Lord so much she gives her son to God. And then, of course, Samuel becomes, well, I think, what would we call it? Maybe not necessarily the last of the judges, but really, in a sense, the leader of the Israelite people. And then at this time, people are saying, oh, we want a king, we want a king. And, no, you don't want a king, you don't want a king. Yeah, we do. So Samuel is this, in a sense, for that time, modern day Moses, because he's the one that connects. He's like the high priest. So here we go. When we are in the ash heap, looking up and around is almost impossible. All we can do is get through the day the best we can. Doing so uses all our emotional resources with nothing left over. But when we start to feel our burdens lifted, when God raises us from the dust, we begin to notice the pain of the world. Our season of suffering grants us a hard-won empathy that expands not only to our prayers, but our actions as well. Yes, we are called to act right now, but what can we do, right? In this war-torn world, it seems. We know we're unable to fully rejoice in our great reversal until everyone has experienced relief from sorrow too. Reaching back to help raise others from the dust becomes the unexpected ministry of unwanted days in the ash heap. Countless times I have witnessed Hannah's song enacted in community. The cancer survivor walking alongside the newly diagnosed. The person now sober for 20 years, sponsoring a neighbor who is anxiously attending AA for the first time. One woman I know works tirelessly on suicide prevention because she knows the unspeakable pain of burying her child who took his own life. Even when we've been raised from the dust, there are ashes that still cling closely, and we cannot forget those still mired in them. Hannah's song gets sung again and again when those who have been raised from the dust don't forget what it is like to be consumed with anxiety, perplexed, and covered in ashes. Hannah's prayer of praise gets mixed with prayers of suffering. Yep, we heard that, right? Bolstered by Eli's word of peace and lifted from the dust when, in our gratitude for relief, we come alongside others until they are upright too. Yes, indeed, talking about, interestingly enough, these hardships, as it says here, the mired in the ashes, buried in the ashes and lifted from that. But then we turn around and we see so many others in the ashes, right? It's one of the most bitter, I think, one of the most bitter blessings that we can have when we go through something so horrific in our life. And then as we here are out of those ashes and we turn around and there's someone going through the same thing. And we can be the support for them. We can be one that helps them rise from their ashes. It's a powerful thing. It's a painful thing. But it's a blessing. So here we have our questions for reflection. I challenge you to read through this reading again, 1 Samuel 2, 1 through 10. Read it aloud, as I did, and notice which verse or verses hit you. This is a lot of my peers like this, but it kind of is reminiscent of Lectio Divina, where we just hear the words and we just, what hits us, what stands out to us, what's speaking to us. And then use that verse as a breath prayer throughout the day. Make note of any observations or insights that breath prayer calls forth. If you've never done that, it's have that in your mind, and it's, like as you As you say it, you breathe in, and as you finish, you breathe out. Or you mouth it as you breathe. I'm not very good at it because it's so complicated. Too many things going on. But that kind of prayer can be very powerful because, you're literally breathing in and breathing out the word, right? And that can have an interesting effect. So, second question, must this great reversal, quote unquote, entail both the bringing up of some and taking down of others? Why or why not? Our great reversal, yeah. I'll have to think about that one. We're doing pretty good on time, so let's close in prayer. God of great reversals, you bring transformation, relief, peace, and joy in ways and at times that are utterly unexpected. When we find ourselves in the ash heap, grant us your peace, assure us of your promise, give us a glimpse of hope to sustain us. After we have been raised up from the dust, never let us forget what it was like to be so down. Use our remembering to reach back and help others, to sit beside them until they too know the grace of your transforming love. Amen. So good stuff already. We are into our weekend. Tomorrow we'll take a look at a little bit of Luke. But until then, I say God bless and have a great weekend.